Off to London. Is it a victory, though?
It's hot out there, but let's blow them off the line of scrimmage. Headline,
Live from the RamCave, I'm Joe Chirosian, and this is RamView, the October 17th, 2025 edition, brought to you by Kistler Law Firm. Injured in an auto accident? Need help? Got questions? Call Kistler Law at 661-206-6990. That's Kistler Law at 661-206-6990. And check out KistlerLawFirm.com. That's one word, KistlerLawFirm.com. Kistler Law, they've been fighting for you since 92. And by Temple City Auto Repair. Having some auto issues? Get yourself some John and Henry at Temple City Auto Repair. And a new friend of the show, Sports Ball Games. Be sure to check out that website. We've got that there dropped into our description. And away we go. All right, so a lot of weird feelings coming into this one, right? I was trying to pick this Ram game coming up in London against the Jaguars, and I was in a conversation with the great Tim Burns, and I think he was disappointed initially by my assessment. But when I was preparing to do this game, as I was just kind of putting things together, I found that the word hope entered my head. Like, I hope the Rams can win this one. I hope, they can do this, right? And then I stopped right there. Hope is a really bad word for this era of Rams football. It's a bad word. Hope belongs in the Jeff Fisher era. Hope is something you'd say when the Rams had Danny Amendola and Sam Bradford throwing the ball to him, or Kellen Clemens, or something like that. Hope is, man, I hope we can go 7-9 this year. Hope is, I hope we can go 8-8. Hope is, hey, maybe we can get a playoff appearance. Hope is maybe we don't blow it in the draft. Hope is maybe we're competitive against the Patriots or something. But for this Rams team to rely on hope, no, not in the McSnead era. With this current team, hope shouldn't be involved at all. That the only hope that should be included in discussion about the Rams these days should be they hope they avoid injuries. Of course, we want them to avoid injuries. You can't regulate that, so you hope it doesn't happen. But when I look at these Ram teams, or these Ram games this year, 6 games, I'm looking at this, and they've kind of dropped at least me into a position where I'm thinking, I hope they can win, because I look at this team, I look at them, and I think, no, they should win. There isn't a game on this schedule for the rest of the year out that, with their talent and who they have, everyone staying healthy, of course, we hope. I look at this and no, they should win this game. They should win this game. They should win. Now, you don't win every game, but I think the problem is that even surrounding that despicable performance against the Dolphins last year, leading up to that game, the Rams played well. After the game, the Rams played well. They were playing some good football. They haven't played any good football this year. Oh, in spurts, a half here, a half there, a moment there. They haven't played good football. And so that's the part that's making me a little reserved about picking the Rams on Sunday. And then, of course, it's a London game, which, next time the players go on strike or something, and you hear where the union rep says, hey, we're here to look after the players. They're not there to look after the players. They're not. They're just as corrupt as everybody else. Otherwise, you wouldn't be having these overseas games. These are ridiculous. And the players union can put them to a stop if they wanted to. All right, so let's look at the thing here. Tutu Atwell, Omar Speights look like they're going to play. I don't think Puka Nacua being held out is a big surprise. I think if it was a bigger game, of course he'd be out there. But given the Rams' depth in the wide receiver room, and Atwell will most likely be playing, I think it's for sure he's going to play. I think the Rams are okay in the receiver room there. And Havenstein is the interesting one. Havenstein might simply be a case of giving the veteran another week off and a bye, which that means he would have a month off. Not bad for an 11-year vet. But it could also mean that the Rams want to find out what they really have in Warren McClendon going forward. I think they're pleased with him to this point. I think as Ram fans, we're pleased with him. He's not a sieve, right? He's not Ode Boucher, right? He's not Matt Skura. He's not Jeremiah Colon. He's not Logan Bruss. He's not Joe Motboom. He's not Bobby Evans, right? He's not any of those guys. He's acquitted himself pretty well. But the Rams got to find out what he is, because right now he hasn't faced anybody. Frisco and Baltimore have no pass rush, and the Jags front line has been playing pretty well. So Trayvon Walker and Josh Hines Allen, are a significant upgrade from Fog City in Baltimore. So you might get a good idea here of where the Rams are going with McClendon forward. He's in his third year. Next year will be his last year under contract. Havenstein's in his 11th year and on an expiring contract. So either by draft, trade, free agency, or maybe a McClendon in-house promotion, there's a good chance the right tackle spot will be open in 2026. And having McClendon play in London will give the Rams a clear-cut idea of what they have, right? They're going to know. And honestly, you could lose the game in London, in England, and your season isn't over. It's a little more difficult. I think Tim Burns brought up a great point about the Rams' record in conference, and they got to start turning that thing around. I know this is an AFC game, but you got to start turning those things around, because if you don't win the division, it's going to be really tight. It's going to be really tight if you're playing like this, looking for a wild card spot. And honestly, if the Rams don't make the playoffs with this roster, it's going to be humiliating. And I think it could cost somebody, maybe Chase Blackburn, his job. This Ram team, I think we've all agreed, it has to go to the NFC title game. At bare minimum, it needs to go to the NFC title game. What happens after that is all right, but it needs to go to the NFC title game, flat out, or this season is a total bust. All right, we got some folks in here. Let's see here. USA Expat, take charge and live in the moment, forget hope. All right, there we go. Someone got me. Manuel Vasquez, Rams cannot come out like they have the past two games. Steve Ramirez, this team plays down to the opposition, kind of like those Chuck Knox teams. A lot of eerie comparisons there, or similarities there, Steve, for those of us that are old enough to remember. You know, I'm thinking about some of these Ram games. I remember the game they lost in Green Bay. It was before Harris replaced Hadel. He replaced him in the second half. That Packer team was awful. Rams had beaten the Packers handily at the Coliseum the year before, and they were only getting worse in 74, and Rams lost 17-6 there. Then there was that loss in New England in 74, and it was like, yeah, New England had kind of a decent year in 74, but the Rams were coming off a 12-2 season. There's just games like that, right? There's just games that they just don't show up. There's just weird moments. Bengals were struggling in 78, and they lost on a field goal on a Monday night game. I mean, we all have these memories here. And, yeah, there is a lot of similarity there, Mr. Ramirez. I think that's a good call. USA Expat, there isn't tape on Ferguson. Use that. I think I know what you mean on that. Yeah, my feeling would be get his butt out there. You know, get him into the routes. I don't know. I mean, honestly, right? Call him a wide receiver. Call him a flanker. Just get his butt out there, get him running routes, and throw him the ball, right? Manuel Vasquez, I think Whittington should have a good game because they'll probably double Adams and roll coverage to Tutu. He should be. But have you noticed even Whittington has been a little bit off, right? I thought he was on the money all last year. But you know, he's had some drops. He fumbled that jet sweep last week, and he picked it right up. But there's been a few plays this year where it's like, hey, what's going on with Whittington a little bit? Maybe he'll tighten it up. Tim Bird's got to come out fast. We are the worst first quarter team. That is a coach inspiration thing. So you guys don't think I've been off in my when I listed my top 5 stressors about the Rams, because I didn't get any feedback anyplace else. No one said a word to me, and I thought for sure the Ramily and the Horns Up crowd, which I'm not downing you guys if you say Ramily and if you say Horns Up. I'm not doubting you, but sometimes it gets a little too fanboy for me, and we don't call out when we suck. And you know, I don't know if I threw Steeler fan Rob off today, but I told him, I said, no, man, Rams suck right now. Comparative to their talent, I mean, we know the Jets suck, but they don't have anything. For the Rams to be 4-2 and could easily, I mean, could we make an argument? Could we make an argument they could be 1-5 with a couple of different bounces without the support of Adonai Mitchell? Could they be 1-5? Right? They've sucked this year. They flat out sucked, and you can't just mask it behind, hey, I'm a 100% Rams fan. We're all 100% Rams fan, right? The horns up community. I think that's what drove me away for a while from a lot of the boards was, if you say, hey man, Rams suck today. Oh no, horns up, man. No, you could say horns up, but let's be honest, right? Let's be honest about where they're at. So yeah, they need to come out and knock heads. How many times have I said that? Come out and knock heads. Play like you don't get a paycheck if you don't win. There you go. Mikey Gutierrez, lots of good prospects in the first round of the 2026 draft. They are team needs at offensive tackle, cornerback, quarterback. I'm betting that we'll draft Havenstein's replacement. And Mike, I'm not going to argue with you on that one, but I think McClendon's performance this week, I mean, he'll have to put in some more, of course. McClendon's performance this week is going to go a long way to saying, hey, where we're at in that process. Do we look at a tackle in the first round? Do we look at a tackle in the top 100, right? And I'm not even in on drafting a quarterback at this point. I'm not even anywhere thinking about a quarterback right now until Stafford goes down or Stafford, can't throw the ball more than 30 yards. I'm not even thinking about another quarterback. He's got a 2-year contract, and only him and Kelly can decide if he's not coming back. So, yeah. So another thing about this Jaguars team, it's a defense that's been taking the ball away. Something to think about. Not trying to be Debbie Downer here, but they take the ball away quite a bit. And I don't know, are they second in the league or first in the league in takeaways? And we've seen our Rams running backs with issues. And I got to believe they're going to be buttoned up, but it is something to consider there. Defensively, I don't think the Rams defense has anything to worry about the Jaguars offense. Now, it's not going to be Cooper Rush. It's not going to be Tyler Huntley, right? But there shouldn't be a problem defensively with these guys. Yeah, they got Travis Hunter. Brian Thomas is real good. But the Rams should be able to do what they do defensively. I don't think they're going to pitch a shutout. I could see them, them getting a quick score here, a field goal or something. My concern is their defense doing something to the Rams. So I'll sum this up here as we move on real quick here. I do appreciate you guys being here. It's a heck of an audience here for a Friday. I do appreciate that, guys. Please chime in. Be sure to sign up. Be sure to hit the like button. We don't have a Patreon account. We don't have a paywall. So every time you subscribe or something or share us, check out one of our sponsors. It really helps us. But before we get to that, I'm going to tell you right now, with this Ram team, there shouldn't be hope. Hope shouldn't be involved beyond hoping nobody gets injured, right? And they played lousy football the first 6 weeks. So here we go, guys. Jacksonville 17, Rams 13. I could see the Rams scoring 2 touchdowns and a missed extra point. Of course, I'll always going to root for the Rams. And I just got a warning here that tell me, guys, if I blink out. I just got a warning here. My connection is unstable and it went away. But yeah, I'm going to need to see a 5 or 6 game winning streak before I'm going to have faith in the Rams this year, because right now I just do not have any faith in this team. All right. I'm glad you guys do. Let's see. Let's look at these questions. You guys rolled in a lot of questions here. Let me see here. Steve Ramirez, like Dennis Harrow once said, after a bad loss, we're in first place and we suck. I didn't know that one, but I believe it with Dennis Harrow. Manny Correa clicked on. Thank you so much. Michael Negretti, hola, Pastor Joe. I think the Rams will lose in London. They lost against the 49ers. They didn't look good against the Ravens. Now, I'm not trying to turn on the Rams here, Mike, but what I am saying is that at where they are playing, how they are playing, not the location, but where they're at mentally between the lines here, yeah, I just don't see it right now. This is a hungry Jacksonville team that wants to prove itself. And so yeah, I have my doubts this week. I really do. I think the Rams have to be embarrassed again. And And I think we got to start attributing some of these slow starts the last 2 years in 2023 and 2024, maybe looking at them that it weren't all injury induced, but maybe they were, just what we're seeing now, right? Because this team's not ravaged with injuries right now. It's just not. Let's see. Everyone's saying hi to each other. Try McClendon graded out really good against Baltimore. He might even replace Habs this year. Yeah, I don't trust, if that's PFF you're looking at, I don't necessarily trust PFF, but our visual, our eye test, right? And you can look at the stats and see the hurries, the hits, the sacks, and no, he's done a solid job. He might not be Jackie Slater, but he could be John Williams. And so, yeah, I'm happy with McClendon so far, but we're going to find out. This is a much better front that he's faced so far this season. Tim Burns, Joe T, I want two O-line first rounders, put these protection and blocking issues to bed. Okay, great. I want a meat eater. I want a red meat eater there. I want one of those guys that is just angry all the time. Mikey Gutierrez, no Devin Lloyd for Jacksonville will be really helpful for us. He leads the Jags in interceptions. Yeah, I saw that he's out. That sure doesn't hurt. Tim Powers, Adams being familiar with number one, we will see a better game from him. I like Adams. I think Adams has been really solid there, Mr. Powers. I think he's been really good. I think he's been a team guy. You can see he fits the culture and all that kind of stuff. So, yeah, I'm good with that. I'm really good with that. Are they going to match Travis Hunter on him? So that'll be interesting to see because the Rams do have other weapons. They really do. Let's see. Manny Vasquez, Rams 24, Jacksonville 17. I'll take it. Tim Burns, if you need hope, Joe T, then do what you do in the day job. There you go. Okay. USA expat, Rams 24, Jacksonville 9. All right. I'll buy that one. Tim Burns, Rams 30, Jacksonville 27. What a screenshot this guy's. Let's see. Tim Powers, I hope Dolak gets some reps. That was one of the things after the Baltimore game I think we talked about on Monday is that, yeah, we want more Dolak, right? We need more Dolak. Dolak, Spates, Landman. That's a rangy linebacker room that hits hard and keeps moving. I really like it. Honestly, Troy Reeder's been great on special teams this year. Let's give the guy credit, right? Troy Reeder has been fantastic, but I don't want to see him on defense, right? I just don't want to see him on defense. Let's see. USA expat win this one for McVay over Cohen. Has anyone done a breakdown of what McVay is against his coaching tree? All right, let's get back to the other side here. Looking for a way to bring your crew together on game day without the gambling stress or fantasy overload? Try Sports Ball Games. Free pick'em and squares, live leaderboards and bragging rights built in. One click and you're in. No fees, no spreadsheets, no headaches. Just sports fun for your whole group to enjoy. Whether you're cheering from the break room or the backyard, Sports Ball Games makes every game, a team event. This is the great line: play for fun, brag for real. Check out Sports Ball Games, and that's the website there that's listed in our description section there, www.joinsportsball.com. Be sure to check that out. Also, be sure to check out Kistler Law, our feature sponsor there. Because of Kistler Law, I get to do this show and keep my day job. And because you guys buy my books, they're on Amazon. Game Day in the RamCave. Got to buy that book. It's the Rams and the Packers and the NFC title game. Fiction book, but you got to buy that. Check that out. And my day job is I do pastor a small church in Burbank Faith Nazarene, and you can follow us right here on YouTube at Burbank Faith Virtual, burbankfaithvirtual.com, and Burbank Faith Virtual all across social media. And right now I'm on hiatus right now with the podcast stuff, iHeart and Spotify. We had no traction. And so I'm trying to find out better ways to spare my time. We're this close to launching Restream, to where my hope is that on Restream, not only will we be live here on YouTube, we'll be live on Facebook. And then I'm probably going to have to get that blue check mark on Twitter or X to get live there. And I know it's a little pretentious to have that check mark, but I'm thinking about doing that as well. Whatever it is, it's working on a way to make sure we don't lose our interactivity with each other. So keep that in mind. Also, Tim Burns mentioned my day job, and that was one of the funny things there that he brought up was, think about your day job. Well, I think about my Ramdom in terms of my day job. There was a time about 3 or 4 years ago, one of my daughters was in church, and it was post-COVID, and everything was all right. And she kind of spoke out of turn while I was preaching, and I looked at her, and I was ready to bury her in a hole. And what kicked in was why am I going to treat my daughter different than everybody else in the congregation who's always talking and speaking out of turn and doing different things? I've had people read newspapers on me, answer phones, all sorts of things. People, of course, let alone fall asleep on me when I'm preaching. But I thought, why am I going to treat I wanted to just go into her and just rip her to shreds. But I said, why am I going to treat my daughter different than I would treat anybody else? Now, privately I do, but in publicly I didn't want to humiliate her. And we worked through that situation. But sometimes when you're talking, going back to why I picked against the Rams this week, sometimes when you're a Ram fan, you kind of lose your way. And the last thing I ever want to be is fanboy. I do not want to be fanboy. There's enough fanboy out there, and I don't want to be a keep it real guy either who just says things to get clicks. But I honestly believe that I'm struggling with this team right now. I'm really frustrated with this team, and I just don't feel like I can pick them. And I don't want to pick them and have hope be the reason. I hope they do it. So that's kind of where I am on that, guys. I do appreciate your time there. Let's see here. Steelers can't tackle of late. Steelers looked awful last night. Steelers looked terrible, Mr. Burns. Micah Gutierrez. No, Michael Negretti. Let me go. Pastor Joe, we need to take a charge O-lineman like Andrew Whitworth. I think Havenstein is the glue there, but he's aging out. And I'm kind of curious to see how Alaric Jackson goes forward now that, he's in the midst of his third consecutive healthy season, right? And again, no one's talking about Matthew Stafford or Alaric Jackson and their health. Mikey Gutierrez, fun fact, both of the Ram wins in London came on the week before a bye, 2017 versus Arizona, 2019 versus Cincinnati. All right, I'll buy that. That's great. That sounds good to me, right? I'll take it, right? So thank you. Mike Gutierrez, Rams Twitter is very active. That's a good spot to stream on. Yeah, I haven't got a lot of traction there with some of my Rams posts. I don't know. There's a certain magic to some of that stuff. You got to know how to link, tag, all that stuff. I'm still learning those things. Tim Burns, we are the 5th best 4-2 NFC team. We have to take care of business now. Absolutely. Speaking of taking care of business, real quick here. Yeah, that was a bad loss for the Steelers last night. As we go to around the NFL and other places, that was a bad loss for the Steelers last night. And I know the word's out. Steeler fan Rob has let everybody know that they struggle on short weeks. But short week or not, you can't lose to the Bengals like that. You can't. I think what stunned me the most was the way they ran on the Steelers, right? I just couldn't believe they ran on the Steelers the way they did. And then, of course, Michaels, who I love. No one's talking trash about Al Michaels on this show. I'm always pro Al Michaels. Herb Street cries a little too much for me. But Michaels and Herb Street were practically fitting Flacco for a gold jacket last night. And Flacco was great, but he was also upright against that Steelers pass rush, against that Cincy offensive line. Bad night for the Steelers all the way around. Flacco, there was Flacco fever a few years ago when he was in Cleveland, and he came to the Rams, right? Remember, they came in the back half of the season in 23, and the Rams smoked them pretty good. Another one there, as I was watching that thing play out and Jamar Chase was having a heck of a game, I like Jalen Ramsey still. I wouldn't have been mad if the Rams would have went after Jalen Ramsey. But if remember we were talking in the spring about Jalen Ramsey, if you brought Jalen Ramsey back as that star player, safety, slot coverage guy, close to the line of scrimmage, down in the box, I'm all good with that. They're paying him too much money, though, to play that position, and he's not a lockdown corner, right? And so you're paying a lot of money now for a guy who can't shut down the big receivers anymore. Time has caught up with Jalen Ramsey, and it was a real poor matchup between him, Jamar Chase, and even T. Higgins. And so yeah, I'm really glad that the Rams didn't make that move for Jalen Ramsey. I know what the Steelers were thinking when they did it, but But yeah, that was terrible last night. And all that said, Aaron Rodgers looked really, really great, and he's making Aaron Glenn and the Jets look really, really bad, right? So that offense looked great last night. He does need another receiver. I don't think Calvin Austin's the guy. Pittsburgh should go help him out, find another receiver to complement DK Metcalf and those tight ends, right? Those tight ends, the Pittsburgh tight end in the post, right? Darnell Washington, just have him post up all the time. Pretty special there. Let's see. Let's keep moving on here. Let's see. Manny Vasquez, hopefully the Rams D, which is ranked third in the NFL in points per game, comes out aggressively and stays that way for 4 quarters. I have to admit, I think most of my angst is towards the Rams offense in some of the slow starts. My next angst is against Chris Shula with some of the passive coverage. And then my third angst about the thing there is regarding the defense. They do come out soft against the run. They tighten up later, but early on, they're always kind of soft against the run, which means they kind of come out kind of flat, and that means you generally leads to some kind of score. So, I like our defense a lot. That's why it's hard to settle for cheap wins like we've been getting. That 17-3 win, there was nothing glorious about it. And that goal line stand, while I really loved it, that was a disaster on Todd Monken's part. You got King Henry, you get inside the 5, and you're giving it twice on a poor man's tush push to Mark Andrews. Who does that? What a ridiculous call. Anyway, there we go. Michael Negretti, good loss for the Steelers, break a leg, Aaron Rodgers. Is that a positive there? Paul M, go Rams. I think, Paul, you shared something. I didn't get a chance to respond to you. Shared some of my thoughts about McVay having just these issues, why these teams aren't ready. I appreciate that. Tim Burns, T. Higgins pulling up at the 4 with 140 left was brilliant, good thinking. Okay, let's talk about that real quick. I agree. It was the smart thing to do, very, very savvy thing to do. But there is part of me, and I do understand how crappy the Bengals defense is. So maybe that's what it is if I got a chance to score, I'm scoring, right? If I got a chance to score, I'm scoring. Now, would you have been happy, same situation, if Jordan Whittington, Puka Nacua, Tutu Atwell, or anybody did the same exact thing to set up a game-winning field goal with this Rams kicking team, right? No, it's like get that blanking ball into pay dirt as quickly as possible. So it was a smart move in one sense because, the Bengals defense is terrible. But in the other sense, it's like, man, you got a chance to score, you got to score. You don't know what's going to happen with a bad snap. You don't know what's going to happen with a tip ball. And no one really articulated that side of it. It was smart, but man, there's just so many things in the operations that can go wrong after that, right? I want the one in the hand rather than 2 in the bush. There we go. Mikey Gutierrez, still not sure who to root for in Niners-Falcons game. It's win or lose scenario for us either way. I'm rooting for the Falcons, man. Falcons, easy call. Right now, we're not I'm not confident in the Rams right now, and we're going to need all the – and knock off the 49ers. Big dog for us is not worrying about the Lions. It's not worrying about the Buccaneers. It's worried about our division. Now that we're 0-1 in division, can we win 2 against Seattle? Can we win 2 against the Cardinals? Can we beat Frisco? And that would make us 5-1 within the division. And then I'll feel a lot better. But I want the number 1 draft pick, but the Falcons, they don't look like they're going to oblige us. Let's see. Mike Gutierrez. Okay. Right. I want the higher pick, but I just can't bring myself to cheer for the 49ers. There you go. Okay, let's keep rolling on here. Again, coach is on the hot seat. I want to keep updating this. Mike McDaniel, right? I'm picking Cleveland. In this game against the Dolphins, and I'm wondering, is losing to Cleveland enough to put McDaniel in the street, right? I think Joe Flacco is bringing new life into Zach Taylor. I didn't think anything would happen to him till the offseason, but he might not go anywhere. And then I want to see how the Cardinals play against the Packers, right? If the Cardinals come out and they're their usual selves, let's just say they lose 24-20, all right. But if somehow maybe the season, if they lose 24-7, 31-7, somewhere along the way, it looks like it's not happening. I think Gannon could be in trouble. And of course, I think I'm one game away from starting a new Twitter tag, social handle, media tag called Fire Chase Blackburn, because before any of those head coaches get fired, I kind of want Chase Blackburn's head on a scalp. Somebody has to have their head on a scalp. All right, quick thing here too, before we break down the games. Who could be traded right now as we get closer and closer to the trade deadline? It's going to be an awkward spot for the Bengals, right? Because I think they can move Trey Hendrickson for some really good pieces. They really could. But are you trying? That team played with a lot of grit last night, right? Flacco gives them hope, right? If Flacco can buy them against a really good pass rush of the Steelers, which was non-existent last night, but if Flacco can provide them a few wins that buy them some time to get to Joe Burrow's return, and you got confidence there with Trey Hendrickson, then you wouldn't trade him. But if everything goes south, Flacco gets his bell rung and you lose your next couple games, I would think you would move Trey Hendrickson. He's a free agent next year. He's going to walk, right? So I would look at that one. Also, if I was the Jets, I'd be looking to move Garrett Wilson. Man, Garrett Wilson solves no problems right now. You don't have a quarterback to throw to him. There's no quarterback in that room that's going to say, oh, don't get rid of my number one weapon, because you got nobody that can trigger the ball. So I know he just got his contract, but somebody should be looking at Garrett Wilson, right? They really should be. Saints should be moving Alvin Kamara. Kamara says he doesn't want to move. That's nice, but if he doesn't have a no trade, then on the Saints, Alvin Kamara would be a huge help in Cincinnati. He'd be a huge help. Well, they would never do it. They're too cheap. Huge help in Kansas City. Can you imagine Alvin Kamara there in KC? That would be interesting. Maybe Alvin Kamara with the Chargers, And then the other one, I thought, the two defensive linemen. We talked about Jeffrey Simmons. I'd almost consider giving up a number one for Jeffrey Simmons right now. I really would. Put another beast on that defensive front. And then the other guy I was looking at, and again, I don't know these guys' character if they're locker room guys. I was looking at the Jets' Quinnen Williams. He's got big money coming to him the next couple years, but the Jets aren't going anywhere. They're not going anywhere. A guy like Quinnen Williams could probably fetch a number one pick, and then that's what you need. You need bodies. And I'm just curious, right, if you would make those moves. I did not see any corners on any teams right now that are falling apart, and no one's going to give up a corner, right? So, and you're not going to get an offensive lineman right now. So what we got in-house is what we got in-house for the offensive line. Just keep an eye on the cornerback room. There's no one really that's like playing for a bad team right now that looks like they could be up for grabs. There's no one on the last year of their contract right now that looks like, oh, this is a guy to make a move for that really moves the needle. So we're going to have to bite down and bear it right now. So there you go. Let's see. Micah Gutierrez, audio is clipping. Thanks, guys. Let me know if it's still continuing. I'm not getting any more messages. So let me know. Joe, this feed is buffering out occasionally. Sorry, man. I don't know what else to do. I'll tell you what I'll do. Yeah, I'm going to end this right now. And then I'm going to come back tomorrow morning with my picks and stuff, because I can't figure out what this is, but it's right. I'm getting messages again. Sorry about that, guys. But let's phase out right now. I'll come back tomorrow morning with picks. It's already written. It's already here. Sorry about that. God bless. Take care. We'll see you soon.